If money is infinite, why do poor people exist? You spent your entire life believing something about money that isn't true. And that belief is the exact reason you'll keep working harder than you need to. Let me tell you where it started. Hundreds of years ago, a merchant walks into a bank and deposits 5 million in gold. The bank gives him a receipt. Then the bank turns around and gives someone else a receipt for the same gold. In that moment, money was created from nothing. The gold didn't change. The number just doubled. And what happened next shaped every part of your life. But no one taught you how. By the end of this video, you'll understand how money actually works, why poverty is not an accident, and what that means for every decision you make about your career, your business, and your time. But to get there, we need to go back to the beginning. Back to when money didn't even exist. For most of human history, people didn't need money. Think about that for a second. If you lived in a village, you grew crops. You needed something your neighbor had, you traded. I'll give you a cow for some grain. Simple, direct. No bank, no currency, no middleman. Money, for the longest time, was symbolic. It represented debts that could never be fully repaid. Someone wrongs your family, they pay you. Not because the money fixes anything, but because it acknowledges a debt that words alone can't settle. That's what money was, a symbol, not a tool for buying things. The merchants changed everything. Merchants needed to move goods across countries. You're based in Italy, but you need cotton from England. Carrying gold across borders is dangerous and slow. So the merchants started depositing their gold with early banks for safekeeping. The bank would hand them a receipt, a piece of paper that said, "This person has gold with us. We promise to return it anytime." That receipt is the ancestor of every dollar in your wallet right now. Not because paper was valuable, but because paper was convenient. And convenience, it turns out, is what built the entire financial system. There is a name for what happens next. It's called fractional reserve banking. The bank holds your gold. Then it issues a new receipt against the same gold to other people. The gold doesn't move, but the money supply multiplies. Every modern bank on the planet still operates on this principle. They don't lend money they have, they create money they don't. Now, this system has an obvious problem. It's a problem that's crashed economies for centuries. If there are 10 million in receipts but only 5 million in actual gold, what happens if everyone shows up at the same time to collect? The bank collapses. That's what we call a bank run. And this is an ancient history. Bank runs happened during the Great Depression. They happened in 2008. The mechanics haven't changed in 500 years. Only the scale has. But there was another problem. A bigger one. Who were these early banks lending money to? Not entrepreneurs, not small businesses. Kings, rulers who needed gold to fund wars. And kings had a habit of doing something inconvenient. They'd borrow your money, fight their war, and then say, "I'm not paying you back. What are you going to do about it?" So the banks adapted. They formed partnerships, cartels, networks of banks across Europe, often connected through marriage, that could do two things. First, one bank faced the run, the others could cover the soft fall. Second, if a king refused to pay, the cartel could fund his enemies to remove him and recover the debt. Tolstoy once wrote that money is a new form of slavery, distinguishable from the old simply by the fact that it is impersonal. He was describing exactly this, a system where power operates through paper instead of chains. Invisible, efficient, and very, very old. These cartels are what we call now central banking. The Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, the Bank of England. Their DNA traces back to merchants protecting their gold and controlling kings. And here's the thing about a system designed to consolidate power. It doesn't stop. It evolves. It gets smarter. And it starts solving a problem most people never think to ask about. That problem is the one that changes how you see everything. If banks can manufacture money with a keystroke, and central banks control the entire supply, and they can, at any point, print as much as they decide to print, why do we have poverty? Sit with that for a second. because your first instinct is going to be wrong. Most people, when they hear this question, immediately say scarcity, limited resources. There's not enough to go around. But money is not scarce. It's infinite. It's a number on a screen that can be created with a keystroke. Central banks do this constantly. Quantitative easing, stimulus packages, bailouts, trillions of dollars conjured into existence overnight. So why doesn't that money reach the people who need it most? The answer is uncomfortable, but it is simple. Poverty is not a bug in the system. Poverty is a feature. The purpose of creating money was never to distribute wealth. The purpose was to create illusion that money is valuable. And the only way to make something that's infinite valuable is to make it feel scarce. Think about a video game, World of Warcraft. Any online economy, really. The developers could flood the game with unlimited gold. They could program it to rain currency from the sky. But if they did that, nobody would play. Nobody would grind. Nobody would log in tomorrow. The game works because the currency feels scarce. Players work hard because they believe gold is limited. Now zoom out. Your parents told you, work hard in school, get good grades, make money. Otherwise, you'll end up poor. Every adult you respected reinforced the same message. And that message only works because poverty exists. If there were no poor people, nobody could point to them and say, that's what happens if you don't work. Poverty creates the motivation to chase money, and chasing money creates the labor force that the system needs to function. Henry Ford reportedly said, "It is well enough that the people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system. For if they did, I believe there would be a revolution tomorrow morning." Whether he actually said those words or not, the observation holds. The system works because most people never question it. So let's take this one step further. If the purpose of the system is to maintain the illusion that money is scarce, then what happens when too much money enters the system? When people start to feel comfortable, when the fear of poverty fades, you need a correction, a stock market crash, a recession, a financial crisis. These events destroy wealth. Savings evaporate, jobs disappear, businesses close, and suddenly everyone is scared again. Everyone is hustling again. The illusion of scarcity resets. This is an economics class. Nobody frames it this way in a textbook. But think about the pattern. Every few decades there is a crisis. And after every crisis, people work harder, save more anxiously, and hold on to the belief that money is precious and limited. Goethe wrote, "None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free." That line is about you. It's about me. It's about anyone who works 50 hours a week chasing a number on a screen without ever stopping to ask, what is this number really? And why does it have this much power over my life? The real value was never the money. The real value is the work, your time, your creativity, your ability to solve problems. Money is the measuring stick they invented to extract that from you. So, if that's true, if the real value is your time, your work, your creativity, then the question isn't how I get more money. The question is, how do I stop giving away the things that actually matter? And the answer to that question is not to throw your hands up and say the system is rigged. Why bother? That's the wrong conclusion. And honestly, it's lazy. Understanding how the system works is the first step to not being controlled by it. Because here's what most people do. They accept the rules as they were handed down. Work hard, save money, hope for the best. Retire at 65 if you're lucky. And they never once question whether those rules were designed for their benefit or for someone else's. Once you see that money is a tool of control, not a measure of your worth, something shifts. You stop optimizing for the number and start optimizing for what the number was supposed to represent: freedom, control over your time, ability to say no. Marcus Aurelius said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." 2,000 years later, that's still the most subversive financial advice anyone has ever given. Not because it's about living with less, but because it's about needing less from a system that was designed to keep you needing more. Reducing your dependence is the first step. Building your own structure is the second. I spend most of my time building systems, not to accumulate more, but to create a structure where every hour I spend is a choice, not an obligation. That's what this channel is about. Not productivity hacks, not hustle culture. It's about understanding how the world actually works, and then building your own structure within it. Because the people who do well in this system aren't the ones who work the hardest. They are the ones who understand the rules well enough to write their own. So, here's the full picture. Money was never real. It started as a receipt for gold. It became a tool for creating wealth from nothing. And the system built around it was designed from the very beginning to consolidate power by making an infinite resource feel scarce. Poverty isn't what happens when you fail. It is what the system needs in order to function. Crises aren't accidents, they are corrections. And the real value was never the money, it was always you. The only question that's worth asking now is, what do you build once you know? That's what I'm working on. Every week in my newsletter, I break down systems, the thinking, and the frameworks I use to build a life on my own terms. It's called Unchained Monday. Link is in the description below. No hype, no upsell. Just the real work of building freedom for free. If this video shifted about how you think about money, even a little bit, share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'll see you in the next one.